Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for T&D today, we have the sweater mug. It's about the time of year again. Figured I'd break it back out. Usually when this thing first appears, I have hot chocolate or cider or something in it. But today, I do in fact have a tea in it. Specifically, I have a nice green honey lemon ginseng with white tea. It's very, very good. It's a nice light way to start your day off. And it's a teensy bit chilly outside. So I figured the sweater mug was probably a good choice for it. Because why not? It also feels like it fits kind of in the theme for what we are talking about here today. We are talking about the holiday gift guide for this here year of 2022. It's about a month earlier than my gift guide from last year, because I figured might as well get it out while people are doing a lot of their shopping, and so those earlier people who are doing earlier shopping can go ahead and do it. Plus, let's be honest here, Christmas in the US starts the second Halloween is a week away, so I figured I'd go ahead and I'd get this one out to you guys now. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the best stuff to go ahead and pick up this holiday season. We have 8 different items in no particular order, really. The first few here are in order, but that's about it. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the things that you should be getting or should be looking at getting for the D&D player, DM, etc. in your life this Christmas season, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate. In my house, it's Christmas. That's why I keep saying it. No, obviously you can get these for other things too. So let's go ahead and let's start basic. Let's start super basic. Maybe you have somebody who wants to get into Dungeons and Dragons. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the starter set or essentials kit. There are 2 versions of the starter set and 1 version of the essentials kit. You don't need to get both or all 3 or anything like that. One of them will suffice for somebody who wants to learn how to play the game. This is a really, really fantastic set if you are not familiar with it. It is a short little adventure module, which means that there's a short adventure inside of it, along with the basic rules, which is everything you need to actually pick up and play, some basic DM rules, as well as some pre-generated characters and a set of dice. So you have everything you need in one little box. What's really great about this is the most widely available product, really, for Dungeons & Dragons, aside from the dice, probably. You can find it at a local game store, online, or you can find it in places like Target and Walmart and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. If you have somebody who's trying to get into the hobby, it is genuinely something that is a fantastic jumping off point. And because the adventures are so consolidated, they are oftentimes some of the ones that people point to as being some of the best, just because they don't have any crazy leaping storylines or anything like that. So there is less room for it to get screwed up, honestly. And because they have to be a complete early experience adventure, they're pretty coherent and cohesive. There's not a whole lot of DM prep work that needs to go into them necessarily. And each of those does have a different adventure in it. That is 2 different adventures, 1 for each of the starter sets and 1 for the essentials kit, for a total of 3 adventures. So honestly, even if it is somebody that has one of them already and is still trying to figure it out, it's not a bad choice to go ahead and get them a different one of them. Just make sure you get a different one, because again, you don't want to buy them the same thing on accident. So top of the list, obviously, starter set essentials kit. Go ahead and pick it up. Next up is the core rules set, or any of the books therein. That includes the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide. They sell them as a set at your local game store, online. They will not sell those necessarily in full set at places like Target and Walmart, but you can find them plenty of other places. Honestly, go check out your local game store if you have not already, and see if they've got it, because they more than likely will, 1. And 2, it's a good way to sort of introduce yourself to the more immediate local communities surrounding games like this. I don't think I really need to explain why the core rule set is a solid gift option for somebody who's playing Dungeons & Dragons. If they don't already have all the books, first off, it will complete the sort of, again, core rule set for what they need. Or if they already are and they do have them all, it's never a bad thing to have another like player's handbook just sort of kicking around the table necessarily. In this day and age, a lot of people are shifting to or have been using online platforms, which, you know, is very helpful. But it's never a bad thing just to have a player's handbook or two floating around. In the game that I just started DMing for, that is in my living room, it's so nice to have people in person. We have 3 players' handbooks that just sort of float around for the 4 players, including the expanded rules and stuff like that, for them to pick up as needed. But we have several of the handbooks that just sort of like make their way around the table. So it is it's not a bad thing to have an extra handbook here and there. And the core rule set is hard. It's something that's hard to go back or hard to go wrong with. Just check to make sure that they don't have those. Those are usually the first books that people pick up when they're getting into it, so they probably do have copies of them. And if that is the case, then you'll probably want to be taking a look more at the next item that is on this list. That is the expanded rules set. That set, or any of the books therein, which include Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. That third one being the most recent of that set. But they do exactly what the covers bill. They expand the rules. They are essentially the core set plus. They include more character options, more monsters. They include more DM guidelines, tips, rules, tables, help, stuff like that. Highly recommend checking that out because honestly, that is where your D&D goes from your normal kind of Dungeons and Dragons all the way up to the crazy fantasy that a lot of people are looking for when they're actively playing Dungeons and Dragons. It is a really, really great set, honestly. I personally reference it more than I reference the core set, but that's because I've got a lot of the core set burned into my brain. It's going to be difficult when 1D&D comes out to try and like separate those rule sets, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. But the expanded rule set offers a ton of new player options. It offers a ton of new monsters. It offers a ton of new stuff for everyone at the table. So regardless of if you are buying for a player or a dungeon master, you cannot go wrong with having these books. These are some books that sort of fill a similar gap or a similar role as the player's handbook, Xanathar's and Tasha's at least. In that it doesn't hurt to have more of them, but it is one of those things where it's a little bit more of a niche thing to need more than one of them just floating around the table. I keep trying to correct my focus, and it just keeps getting worse. Excuse my beat up hands as I try and get this to work. I'm sorry. But the expanded rule set, definitely a great buy, definitely a great thing to have just in the repertoire, if nothing else. And a note on all of those books that I just sort of covered right there. As I mentioned, people are using online formats a lot right now. Wizards of the Coast purchased D&D Beyond, which is a phenomenal, phenomenal tool set. If you have the ability to get the book on there and you know that your giftee is somebody that uses those kind of platforms and they don't have some of those books, it is never a bad thing to figure out a way to get them that book on that platform. Just because it makes it a more... It turns it into part of a database as opposed to just having the books on your shelf, which is a really great way to do it, don't get me wrong. But having the database makes referencing information super fast, super easy, and super, super convenient. So definitely check those out on there. One more set of books, if it can be called that, before we move on to some other stuff. We've got third-party books. These are not available on D&D Beyond. However, they are available on other virtual tabletops like Roll20 and that kind of thing, oftentimes. But we talk about them pretty much every single week here. Third-party books, books that have a third-party publisher. I have talked about so many really fantastic ones. Honestly, any of them that I highlight on this channel, I fully support. I believe that they are very, very, very good books. My personal tops are Grim Hollow, Kobold Press, and Griffin Saddlebag. However, Nord Games makes phenomenal stuff as well, as do a ton of the other just sort of third-party publishers around. Sorry, I'm looking down because I've got a stack of the third-party books next to me from the last 5 weeks that I've done things. But if you just do a quick little search for best third-party 5th edition books, you'll find plenty of them. But my personal recommendations: Kobold Press, Nord Games, Grim Hollow, and by Grim Hollow I mean Ghostfire Gaming. They make phenomenal things, and Griffin Saddleback. I love the Griffin Saddleback. I cannot wait for the second book to arrive in my mailbox at some point soon here. Third-party books, amazing, amazing things. They expand even further on some of the stuff. Oftentimes they are, dare I say, better written, better balanced than some of the 5th edition stuff that comes from Wizards, just because of the fact that Wizards has to fill certain quotas, it feels like sometimes, to get some of the stuff out. And it feels like a lot of their work in some of those like corners just sort of goes unnoticed. But these third-party books are ones that they make so that they can fill those gaps, round out those corners better. And they hit so hard in the way that they do. Kobold Press has Tome of Beasts, Tome of Beasts 2, Creature Codex, Tome of Heroes, so many good things. Grim Hollow has the campaign guide, player's guide, and the Monster Grimoire. Incredible things. Again, Griffin Saddlebag is one book right now. The second one is on its way. And then Nord Games has a weird little selection of them, but they are really, really fantastic books, and I do like them quite a bit. So check them out as well. Again, they are available on virtual tabletops like, I believe, Foundry, Roll20, that sort of thing. So if people are playing on those and they want them on those, you can buy them on those as well. Okay, getting away from books here, okay? Let's go ahead and let's talk about minis. Miniatures. If you are somebody, or if you have somebody that plays in-person Dungeons and Dragons, or somebody that insists on using live miniatures one way or another, like me, honestly, sometimes, go take a look at some minis. Get some cool looking ones. They have some, honestly, kind of expensive ones that are very large that people don't often buy for themselves, just because it's a pain. If I'm being honest, it's a pain, because you have to go, okay, am I really about to spend $40, $50, $60, $100 on this thing that is going to be able to be used once every couple of years, maybe, and then it just makes me happy to look at the rest of the time? I don't know. So if you go ahead and take the initiative and get some of those weird, cool minis, you're going to make somebody's day. And also, it's not like that you can have too many of one thing sometimes, because oftentimes, you fight more than one monster. Good example. Here's a dragon. I'm out of focus again. I'm way out of focus. Here's a dragon, right? Well, the fun thing about that is, here's another of the same dragon. I just haven't painted this one yet. Because my parents got me this one after I had gotten myself this one. And I'm excited to be able to use this one, because the thing is, I wanted to have a nice red dragon. This was before the red dragons, the adult red dragon from WizKids actually came out. And so I painted this one for me. And so now I can use the other one in a different way that I want to. And it's great. The scale is phenomenal. I'm super excited about it. I just have to actually get around to doing it at some point here, as is the curse with many other mini people. The other thing with minis is that if you don't know, if you're like, man, I really don't want to get them something that they already have, but I don't know what they have and there's no way for me to figure it out, get them some mystery boxes for about 15 to 22-ish, depending on where you go, which one you're getting, and all that. Dollars, you can get a mystery box that has 4 miniatures in it, which is where you can get some of these really, really cool minis. I don't know that I have any of them just on hand right now, actually. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I got both of these things. This Emissary of Perforus bull thing, and this Warforged Titan, out of these random boxes, because you get 1 large mini and you get 3 small minis in each of those boxes. And those boxes are really, really cool. Again, for approximately $15 to $22, you can get these boxes, and they're great. They really are. They're so much fun. It's like opening card packs for things like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, whatever, because you don't know what you're going to get. But what you can do is you can go to the store and you can like weigh them against each other a little bit to see if you can find a heavier one depending on what you're actually looking for. So that's always fun. Also in the minis category, some terrain. because the last thing that I buy when I am looking for minis is terrain pieces, because I would rather have the thing that the players are going to be interacting with and fighting than have the chairs or something like that, the spells, something like that. So what they make are these really, really cool terrain pieces, like chairs with barrels and tables and stuff like that, or foliage and trees and bushes and stuff, or spell effects. Even the spell effects are really cool. I like them a lot. I need to get myself a set. Stuff like that. The auxiliary stuff that just sort of helps flesh out the map that is set down in front of them is really, really useful to have, because the other thing is you can't have enough of those, honestly. Ultimately, you're gonna need more chairs at some point. You're gonna need more tables at some point. And so just having them on deck, that's never a bad thing. And if you want to go even further than that, if you want to get them like terrain bases, like things like terrain tiles, there are a couple of companies that make really, really fantastic ones, including Dwarven Forge and Warlock. I believe that Warlock is the like WizKids version. And honestly, if they don't have some already, I would recommend going have some being any terrain tiles. I would recommend going the Warlock route. They are much more readily available than the Dwarven Forge stuff, even though I think the Dwarven Forge stuff is higher quality. It's also more expensive. So there's that kind of trade-off. The Warlock stuff is really, really great. And again, it's more widely available. They have it in all of my local game stores. So it's pretty easy for me to find, which means it's probably pretty easy for you to find, because it's also sold on like Amazon and stuff like that. Wrapping up the minis category, I guess, of this is a Hero Forge gift card. Nothing says, man, oh man, do I love this character, like a custom miniature. And Hero Forge is honestly pretty much the best at what they do. There are places that also do this, but I personally am a big Hero Forge person. I will sing their praises until I no longer can, for one reason or another. And I cannot recommend them enough. This is the full party. They're falling over because I'm doing a bad job of holding them. This is my full party that I'm running for right now. The ones that are level 19, who are doing a really, really long-term campaign. They are almost to the end of it. But they all have custom Hero Forge minis that actually I got them because they were all first timers. I thought it was a really cool thing, and I knew we were going to be playing the game for a long time. But having a custom miniature is always really fun. I make a lot of them in there just for fun, because you can make and store as many as you want, really. But sometimes you're just like, man, I really wish I could buy this, and then you can go click, and you can get that last mini, or get yourself a mini, and then the next time you go to your game night, you can go, bam, look at what I got, and you've got yourself a custom miniature there, which is always really, really cool. That is the end of the minis section, which brings us to the last item on this list. And this one is a little bit more niche, but also not really. This might be for somebody who is less into the game part of it, more into the show part of it. Get them some merch. Anybody that consumes, TTRPG shows, podcasts, streams, whatever, has a favorite one. And almost all of those sell merch of some sort. Figure out which one is their favorite. If it's Critical Role, great. If it's Dimension 20, great. If it is Dungeons and Daddies, great. If it is the Strodcast, great. All of these people have merch. Find out which one it is and get them some merch, or get them a gift card to their online store so that they can get the merch that they want. But I mean, I'm wearing a Critical Role shirt right now. Like, I have a note from the goons from when I ordered stuff for the Strodcast. Like, the merch is really, really cool to just kind of have, because it is also a conversation starter in public. It helps show, like, this is something that I care about. This is something I like a lot. And it helps telegraph your love of that thing to the world a little bit more. And again, it goes a little bit further than necessarily just the community that plays the game. It goes out to the people who also just watch the game. So merch is always a good option as well. And that brings us to the end of our holiday guide this year. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me through that, because I know that I got a little rambly on a couple of those pieces. So we go ahead and we go along to the shows that we have today. Speaking of shows, in no particular order, we have Diary of a Dragon Pit, Star Wars First Resistance, Dungeons and Daddies, Bombarded, Heck of a D&D, Glass Cannon, and the Queer Questers. Check them out. Let them know that I sent you, because again, someday somebody's going to say something to me about it, and I'm going to think that it's funny. But until then, I'm going to keep asking you guys to do so. yeah. So that brings me to the end of all of it. So thank you so very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the episode description. Yep, that's it. Now we're actually at the end. So don't forget, everybody. Drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.